So good morning, gentlemen. Very welcome you to join us today for here's interesting conversation. So I'm delighted that you both make your time here to join us from your very tight schedules. So shall we first start with self-introduction? So we got here Muhammad Hassan from company Dunext and Imran from company Plugyy. So do you please give us a bit more introduction of yourself and your company? So we first start with Hassan.
So thanks, Yana. My name is Muhammad Hassan. I am working in this PV and storage energy sector for the last 15 years. So right now I'm leading the Dunext business in the UK. Imran.
Morning, everyone. So Imran Khan. I'm one of the directors here at Plugyy Energy Solutions. So we offer a turnkey solution for renewable energy. I've been in the power sector now for just over 20 years. My background is developing and building small and large scale renewable energy plants in the UK and Europe. I've also consulted for some of the larger organisations to support in the energy transition. So it's lovely to be here today and have this discussion with you on what we see as quite important actually in the transition into the future.
So it's really an honor to have you both here. Then I actually got few questions for you guys. So I'll start with the first one. So just feel free to tell us your opinions. So the first question from me is, how can solar and battery investment actually benefits clients with the commercial and industrial sectors?
So I'm happy to answer that one actually. I think so. Some of the work that we've carried out over the years in the UK and in Europe, we've seen storage actually get scrutinised in projects, but actually storage it makes a lot of sense when you're installing on large scale sites. So from a commercial perspective, sizing up a storage for a building consumption is probably the key. So what we normally do is we would assess a client, we would look at their energy demand. So rather than just providing a solar and storage solution, we assess what the client's demand is. So from a large scale energy user in commercial industrial sector, you would assess their energy profile. So you'd look and see when they're actually using that energy, and then you would almost increase the capacity, the installed PV capacity, to then be matched with the battery storage that you're installing. So in some cases you don't install battery storage because if the client is looking to just have a self-consumption system, you wouldn't need battery storage. But if they're looking to future-proof themselves and also maximize their investment, then the best thing to do is to increase the size of the PV system and to install battery storage, and that way they benefit from both. They can use the batteries for trading, they can use it for future proofing if they have EV chargers, and they've maximized their rooftop or ground area that they have available to them. The only caveat there is looking at grid connections. Those are the main things. But from an investment perspective, battery storage now, the prices from, when we assessed these sort of 20 years ago have reduced significantly, and it now does make a great return on investment.
Also, I would like to add some more what Imran has said. Due to the changing into this geopolitical scenarios across the globe, the energy prices are going higher and higher. Every quarter, I will say, every month, every year. So the people are struggling on this energy prices. So and also in the UK, people for the warehouses, houses, residential people started installing this system 10-12 years ago, when the feed-in tariff was very high. So now the energy demand is increasing also because 10 years ago the energy demand was something else. There was no EV chargers, there were no EV cars at that time. There was no energy consumption at this peak, which we are seeing right now. So that's why people can add the batteries to store instead of sending that energy back to the grid. Because I have seen in my experience that there are many customers who are sending the electricity back to the grid without any benefits. So if they add the battery system to their current PV sites, so that will they can use that energy which they are going sending back to the grid, which is generating free of cost and sending back to the grid. They can store that energy in the batteries, and then they can use that energy whenever they required for their EV charging, energy arbitrage. If they increase the capacity, if the capacity is expanded, so there are lots of areas where the people can use this battery storage system.
Agreed, agreed. I think the other plus point is as well for old sites that need repowering.
Yeah.
What we find now is when we're repowering sites, for instance, if they're legacy rooftop or ground mounted projects, when we repower those sites with more efficient PV panels, there is a surplus there. So it then does warrant put in battery storage. And as you've mentioned, years ago with the feed-in tariffs and ROCs, there was attractive rates to export. There isn't that. So right now, it's so. The best way to have an optimal solution is to maybe repower those sites, put in battery storage, and it makes that commodity then a lot more attractive.
And also they can use these energy trading platforms
Absolutely.
by through they can generate revenue
Yep.
by installing these battery storage systems at their premises.
Yeah, and I think there's also, I mean, the list goes on and on of adding battery storage, but the trading, as you said, there's trading platforms that you can use to manage your storage. So with time shifting and everything else, and this applies to commercial, industrial, and utility scale.
So there are lots of opportunities where the customers can add the battery system to their current sites, or if they are building the sites, they can add the battery system, and then they can get the benefits from it.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot more now, not just from a capital purchase perspective, but also from a PPA. So with what we do, I mean, Plugyy offers both options. So whether it's a capital purchase that's funded by the client, or whether it's a PPA that we bring funding into, we're able to sort of size up those systems properly and do a proper assessment so that investment pays back itself, not just so that you have PV installed and battery storage and you're left with a stranded asset at the end. So we look at an optimal solution for those clients, and that's what makes the energy transition a lot better now.
So sounds very, very promising. So, but I wonder, how can the solar storage be added into the existing PV systems?
Okay,
Got more ideas and input for us?
Yes, I think that's fairly simple, really. I think we touched on this on the repowering of sites. So, for example, if it's I think storage can be added at any time, really. I mean, we look at systems for clients where they sometimes ask us to put in inverters that would work with battery storage, so like a hybrid inverter at the time you do the installation. And this is can be C&I space, or it could be utility scale, where they look at a future-proofing that site. And we find more so people are doing this than historically, because there is that view that, is this site going to add EV chargers? Is there going to be an increase in demand on the site? And all those things then enable you to actually look at that project and say, well, actually, when we're designing this, we should design it with the view that we either install battery storage now, or we add it in later, and how can we put in the enablement infrastructure now to make life easy for the client? And that's what we do. So it can be added at the time of installation with a solar, or it can be installed later on. But you've put in all the enablement work so that the transition into solar and storage is a lot smoother.
And in my opinion, for this existing solar systems, as they were installed 10, 15 years ago, the inverters, the products, they are out of warranties. They are having so many problems with the customers. So customers are looking to change the inverters, and that technology which was available 10 years ago is not available anymore. The technology is well advanced in the last few years. So you can do the monitoring. For the old inverters, there was no monitoring. You can't see anything. The apps are available. Monitoring platforms are available. Trading platforms are available. So the customers now wants to looking to replace the old inverters. So we are suggesting them to go for the hybrid ones. So whenever they want to add the batteries, it will be simple for them, or they can add the battery at the same time for the existing system.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more of an intelligent solution now, rather than sort of 10, 15 years ago. I mean, there was a bit of a problem there because there was 10, 15 years or probably a little bit longer than that. There was a lack of knowledge in not only in the technology but also the EPC side. So we've also have to deal with those legacy issues that we see on those sites, and it's a good time to then optimize those sites by putting in fresh systems that are going to give the maximum power of those assets, and also putting in storage where you're future-proofing those sites. And a lot of customers now, or clients in the CNI space, are looking to do that. There is a genuine need for this, and it's not a sale. It's a need now and a requirement. For instance. Sorry, I keep giving examples, but for the CNI sector now, if you're a freeholder, you have tax brackets now. So if your EPC rating for the building is not C or above, you'll be hit with tax. So now there is a drive to put in renewable energy, and that not just a token gesture. It's actually utilizing and maximizing that PV generation. And how do you do that? It's by putting in battery storage. And with the view that you will put in EV chargers, because we are moving into that electrification phase.
Also, I want to add that you are aware that the EPC ratings law is changing for the landlords. So all the landlords required now to comply the EPC rating C in the UK. So for that, getting that EPC rating C, there needs to have something to be installed, the renewable system to be installed. Either it should be solar, PV, batteries, or any other renewable generation system to rely on these things to get that certification. So there is another opportunity for these landlords to build that one in that sector.
And the returns of renewable energy, I mean, they've improved significantly. I mean, we've seen in certain cases now without the tax implication. So now on using the AIA for big CNI companies, they can use the AIA to draw off 25% of their investment in year one. And solar and storage, it's part of that. So we're now seeing that there's a drive and a focus to actually install PV, install battery storage, because the returns are anything from sort of 2.9 years that we've seen, or 2.7 years, all the way up to sort of 4 or 5 years. And that's without the tax implication. So if they're getting the 25% off, that significantly reduces the return. So there's a lot that can be done within this space now.
And that is a win-win situation for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's so many benefits to install the solar storage system, right? So I think Imran just mentioned something about the return. So how you think this solar storage there's its impact on the ROI? Because we all know the ROI is the most important factor that everyone will consider when making investments. So do you give us more opinions on that?
Yeah, so I guess in a lot of cases, it depends on how the system's sized up. We've modeled lots of different things where if a system's sized up incorrectly, the returns will take a lot longer. But for example, the 2.9 or 2.7 years that's modeled up, that is modeled up so that the customer would almost utilize 90 or 100% of that generation that's being created on their own site. That match with battery storage then reduces it, because if they've got nighttime usage, they can use that power that they've got in the battery rather than pulling from the grid. So the returns on their investment have improved since, let's say, if we take, for example, the 15 years ago example that we just had before. Solar PV, just a residential system, was about 15 to 20,000 just for a 4 kilowatt PV system. That system now is about £3,000. So that shows the significance in the reduction of the cost of the hardware. Also, the cell efficiency has gone from sort of 16% all the way through to nearly 23% cell efficiency on PV panels. So again, that shows a huge shift in production, outputs, which all impacts return on investment.
And also, I want to add that the trading companies, they are also benefiting if the customer is using the trading companies like Eon, Octopus, this kind of trading platforms. So they can return of investment is much lower than compared to if they are only using that system for their house use or internal use for these things. So if you are having the EV cars, this will also reduce your ROI from 2 years up 2 years something.
Yeah, so that's a really good point, actually. So that it's a really smart way of explaining it, really, because you're almost having a smart energy solution in your home or your business, because you've got your EV charging, so you'll trade the EVs when you need to charge them. I mean, we have an example of that. So one of the projects that we were involved in, there was a solar carport built. There was bi-directional charging, and the Nissan Leaf batteries were being traded for the building management. And there's a smart energy control system that was installed, again, to monitor the energy prices. So when the energy prices are high, you discharge the batteries to the grid, and you make a revenue. So vehicle to grid or vehicle to building is going to be something of the future, and that's what I think is going to happen with homes, commercial assets, and even utility scale sites, because it's all going to be moving into this energy transition and more of an agnostic approach rather than just a vanilla solar and storage solution. So I think this is very relevant for the industry, and it's quite exciting to see what's actually going to happen in the future within this space.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you both
Thanks
for sharing your thoughts, your insights, the market, and also your experience with us. So it is truly interesting and memorable conversation. So hope we will see each other soon and have such kind of interesting topic again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.